What happens when political privilege collides with accountability at 50 miles per hour? On New Year's Eve, at 2:47 in the morning, a 23-year-old woman left an exclusive party in downtown Providence. She'd been drinking champagne for over 4 hours. Surveillance footage shows her stumbling to her BMW, dropping her keys twice, laughing as friends called after her to wait for a ride. She drove anyway. 4 minutes later, her BMW ran a red light at the intersection of Hope Street and Rochambeau Avenue, traveling at 50 miles per hour in a 30-mile-per-hour zone. She T-boned a Toyota Camry with such force that it spun 180 degrees and struck a utility pole. Inside, that Camry was Robert Sullivan, a 68-year-old Vietnam veteran who had just finished his shift at a veterans shelter, a tradition he'd maintained for 15 consecutive years on New Year's Eve, ever since his wife passed away. The young woman's name was Madison Hartley. Her father was United States Senator Richard Hartley, member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. And what happened 3 days later in Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom would reveal whether political power could protect someone who endangered a veteran, or whether accountability transcends last names, even on holidays. Officer Michael Chen arrived at the intersection at 2:51 a.m. on January 1st. The scene was chaos. The Camry had accordion folded against the pole, its front end completely demolished. Emergency lights strobed across shattered glass and twisted metal. Inside the vehicle, Robert Sullivan was trapped, conscious but unable to move, his airbag deployed, 3 ribs broken, collarbone fractured. 50 feet away, Madison Hartley stood beside her damaged BMW. She was still holding a champagne bottle. Officer Chen's body camera captured everything that followed. "Ma'am, are you injured?" he asked, approaching carefully. Madison took a sip from the bottle and waved her hand dismissively. "I'm fine. It's New Year's Eve. Everyone drinks on New Year's. This isn't a big deal." She peered past him toward her car. "Is my BMW okay?" The officer detected the unmistakable odor of alcohol. Overwhelming, immediate. Her speech was severely slurred. She swayed when standing still. "Ma'am, you were in a serious accident. Someone else was injured." Madison laughed. Actually laughed and took another drink. "It's New Year's. Live a little, officer. My dad always says New Year's Eve doesn't count. Everyone gets a pass." Behind them, paramedics worked frantically to extract Robert Sullivan from the crushed vehicle. His cries of pain were clearly audible across the intersection. Madison never asked about him, not once. When Officer Chen attempted to conduct field sobriety tests, Madison refused outright and shifted to threats. "Do you know who my father is?" Her voice rose, indignant. "He's Senator Richard Hartley. He's on the Senate Judiciary Committee. He literally oversees your funding. Let me go before you make a huge mistake." Officer Chen reached for the champagne bottle. Madison jerked it away. "Don't touch me. My father will have your badge. I'm calling him right now." Sergeant Jennifer Walsh arrived as backup. She'd been on the force for 14 years and had seen countless DUI arrests. This one was different. "Madison, you're being detained for driving under the influence. We need to conduct chemical testing." "I'm not doing any tests," Madison snapped. "It's New Year's Eve. Everyone drinks. My father is going to hear about this harassment." When Sergeant Walsh attempted to guide her toward the patrol car, Madison physically resisted, pulling away and raising her voice loud enough that witnesses across the street later reported hearing the commotion. "Get your hands off me. I'm Senator Hartley's daughter. You can't arrest me, it's New Year's Eve." 3 officers were required to restrain and handcuff her. Throughout the process, she threatened them repeatedly, insisted that New Year's meant the rules didn't apply, and demanded to be released so she could attend her next party. She never once asked about Robert Sullivan. During transport to the station, her tirade continued, captured on the patrol car's audio system. "You have no idea what you've done. My father funds your department. You'll all be directing school traffic by next week." At the station, Madison initially refused breathalyzer testing. After her attorney was contacted, she finally submitted at 4:17 a.m., nearly 90 minutes after the crash. Her blood alcohol content registered at 0.8. Given the time elapsed since the accident, investigators estimated her BAC at impact had been approximately 0.21, nearly 3 times the legal limit of 0.08. Toxicology results later revealed cocaine in her system. 3 days later, on January 3rd, Madison Hartley walked into Providence Municipal Court, wearing expensive designer clothing and carrying herself like someone attending an inconvenient appointment. She didn't walk like someone who had nearly killed a veteran. Her attorney, Christopher Dane, represented one of the most politically connected firms in Rhode Island. His opening statement set the tone. "Your Honor, this incident occurred on New Year's Eve, when many people make regrettable decisions. My client has no prior criminal record and comes from a distinguished family. Given the holiday circumstances, we respectfully request the court consider the New Year's context when evaluating this matter." Judge Frank Caprio set down his pen and looked directly at the attorney. "Mr. Dane, I don't care if this incident occurred on New Year's Eve, Christmas, or any other day on the calendar. Your client drove drunk, crashed into a Vietnam veteran's vehicle, seriously injured him, and showed zero remorse. The calendar doesn't grant immunity from consequences." He turned his attention to Madison. "Ms. Hartley, do you understand the charges against you?" Madison's tone was dismissive, almost bored. "Yes, Your Honor, but I think everyone is overreacting. It was New Year's Eve. People drink on New Year's. I made a mistake, but I didn't mean to hurt anyone." Judge Caprio's expression didn't change. "Ms. Hartley, you drove drunk at 3 times the legal limit with cocaine in your system. You ran a red light at 50 miles per hour. You seriously injured a 68-year-old Vietnam veteran who was driving home from volunteering at a veterans shelter." He paused. "Your first concern was your car. Your second concern was getting to your next party." "I was in shock," Madison protested. "And it was New Year's Eve. Everyone was celebrating." "Being in shock doesn't explain laughing and drinking champagne while the man you injured was trapped in his vehicle. Being in shock doesn't explain threatening police officers. And New Year's Eve doesn't excuse any of it." Judge Caprio asked whether she had contacted Mr. Sullivan to apologize. Her attorney admitted she had not, on legal advice. "So, in 3 days your client hasn't shown the basic human decency to ask whether the veteran she nearly killed is okay, because you advised it might hurt her legal position." The judge ordered the body camera footage played. Madison's slurred voice filled the courtroom. "I'm fine. It's New Year's Eve. Everyone drinks. Is my car okay?" The gallery reacted with audible disgust. Robert Sullivan sat 3 rows back, visible bruising on his face, his arm immobilized in a sling. The footage continued, Madison laughing, Madison drinking champagne, Madison saying, "Live a little, officer." While in the background, paramedics frantically worked to extract Robert from the wreckage. Then came her threat. "Do you know who my father is? He's Senator Richard Hartley. He oversees your funding. Let me go." Officer Chen took the stand and testified to the details of the arrest. When Judge Caprio asked the critical question, Chen's answer was simple and devastating. "Did she ever ask about Mr. Sullivan?" "Not once, Your Honor. Only about her car, her next party, and threatening us with her father's position." Robert Sullivan moved slowly to the witness stand, wincing with each step. He described his New Year's Eve tradition, 15 consecutive years of volunteering at the veterans shelter, serving dinner to homeless veterans who had nowhere else to go on the holiday. He'd finished his shift around 2:30 a.m. and was driving home when the impact occurred. "I don't remember much after the collision," he said quietly. "Just pain, being trapped, unable to move." His voice caught. "I heard a woman laughing. I thought I was imagining it, but she was actually laughing while I was trapped in my vehicle. Robert's testimony was measured, factual, and heartbreaking. Your Honor, I'm 68 years old. I served in Vietnam. I was driving home from serving others when this young woman, drunk and high, destroyed my car and my body. He took a breath. 3 broken ribs. I can barely breathe without pain. My car is totaled. I can't afford to replace it. Another pause. And she never asked if I was okay. Judge Caprio asked Madison if she wanted to say anything to Mr. Sullivan. Her attorney advised her to remain silent. She did. And then Madison pulled out her cell phone and started typing. Judge Caprio's voice cut through the courtroom like a blade. Ms. Hartley, what are you doing? I'm texting my father. He needs to know what's happening here. This has gone on long enough. You're texting your father during court proceedings? Yes. He needs to... Bailiff, confiscate that phone immediately. The bailiff retrieved the device and handed it to the judge. Judge Caprio read the unsent message aloud. Dad, this judge is insane. He's acting like I committed murder. It was just a New Year's accident. Everyone drinks on New Year's. Can you call someone? This needs to stop now. The courtroom fell absolutely silent. Ms. Hartley, you just attempted to text a United States Senator to intervene in judicial proceedings. You characterize this as just a New Year's accident, as if the calendar excuses nearly killing a veteran. He set the phone down. Ms. Hartley, you want your father involved? Let's get him involved. Clerk, contact Senator Hartley immediately. We're having this conversation right now, on the record. Madison's face went pale. Your Honor, that's not necessary. You asked a senator to interfere with justice. Let's hear what he has to say. Within 6 minutes, the court clerk had Senator Richard Hartley on the line. Judge Caprio activated the speakerphone. The entire courtroom could hear every word. Senator Hartley, this is Judge Frank Caprio in Providence Municipal Court. Your daughter Madison is here for a hearing regarding DUI charges stemming from a New Year's Eve incident. She just attempted to text you during court proceedings, asking you to intervene because, and I'm quoting directly, it was just a New Year's accident and everyone drinks on New Year's. There was a long pause on the line. When Senator Hartley spoke, his voice carried unmistakable weight and disappointment. Your Honor, I apologize that my daughter contacted you during court. She should not have done that. Judge Caprio continued, his tone professional but firm. Senator, I want to ensure you understand the full situation. Your daughter drove drunk at 3 times the legal limit with cocaine in her system. She ran a red light at 50 miles per hour. She crashed into a 68-year-old Vietnam veteran's vehicle and seriously injured him. When police arrived, she was drinking champagne and laughing. She threatened officers with your Senate position multiple times. She showed no concern for the veteran she injured. And her defense is that it was New Year's Eve, so the rules don't apply. The silence that followed lasted at least 15 seconds. When Senator Hartley's voice returned, it had changed completely. Your Honor, I need to be very clear about something. I am not calling to request leniency. I am not asking for special treatment. I am not intervening in any capacity, Madison interrupted. Dad, tell him this is crazy. It was New Year's Eve. Everyone drinks. Madison, be quiet. Senator Hartley's voice was sharp, commanding. For once in your privileged life, be quiet and listen to someone other than yourself. The courtroom was absolutely silent. Every person leaned forward slightly, unconsciously. Senator Hartley continued. Your Honor, I've spent 12 years in the United States Senate. I've fought for veterans' benefits, for VA funding, for proper health care for those who served our country. I sit on committees that determine support for the men and women who sacrificed for our freedom. His voice grew heavier. And my daughter drove drunk and nearly killed a Vietnam veteran, then threatened police officers with my name and position. Judge Caprio asked the question everyone needed answered. Senator, are you asking this court to show leniency to your daughter because of your position? Senator Hartley's answer shocked everyone in the courtroom. Absolutely not, Your Honor. I'm asking you to treat her exactly as you would any other defendant who did what she did. He paused. Actually, I'm asking you to consider treating her more harshly, because she should know better. She grew up in a household that honored veterans. She's heard me discuss military sacrifice her entire life. And she nearly killed a 68-year-old Vietnam veteran and laughed about it because it was New Year's Eve. Madison started crying. Dad, you're supposed to help me. I'm your daughter. You're my daughter, Madison, and that's exactly why I'm doing this. Senator Hartley's voice was firm but pained. Your mother and I have enabled your entitled behavior for 23 years. We've gotten you out of trouble. We've made phone calls. We've paid for attorneys. And we've created someone who thinks her last name makes her above consequences. That ends today. Judge Caprio spoke carefully. Senator, would you like to address Mr. Sullivan? He's present in the courtroom. Yes, Your Honor. There was emotion in the senator's voice now. Mr. Sullivan is the veteran in the courtroom? He is, Senator. Mr. Sullivan, my name is Richard Hartley. I'm the father of the young woman who nearly killed you on New Year's Eve. He took a breath. I want to tell you something I should have taught my daughter better. Your service matters. Your sacrifice matters. What you've done for 15 years, volunteering to serve homeless veterans every New Year's Eve, that matters more than any Senate seat I'll ever hold. My daughter destroyed your car and injured you while you were driving home from serving others. That is unconscionable. I am ashamed. And I promise you, she will face full accountability. Robert Sullivan, visibly moved, spoke up. Your Honor, may I respond? Of course, Mr. Sullivan. Senator Hartley, you don't need to apologize for your daughter's choices. She's an adult. But I appreciate that you understand what veterans go through and what we sacrifice. I hope your daughter learns from this. Senator Hartley's voice was thick with emotion. Mr. Sullivan, thank you for your service. Thank you for your continued service to homeless veterans. And I'm sorry my daughter treated you like you didn't matter. Judge Caprio asked, Senator, is there anything else you'd like to say? Yes, Your Honor. Whatever sentence you determine is appropriate, I fully support it. If jail time is warranted, so be it. If significant fines and community service are appropriate, I agree. My daughter needs to learn that being a senator's daughter doesn't grant immunity from consequences, especially when you endanger someone who served our country. He added, and one more thing, Your Honor. I'm sending a formal apology to the Providence Police Department for my daughter's threats against their officers. Those officers were doing their jobs. Using my name to threaten them is despicable. The call ended. Madison sat at the defendant's table, crying, utterly exposed. Her expected rescue had become public condemnation from her own father. Judge Caprio's voice was firm and authoritative. Ms. Hartley, your father, the United States Senator whose position you threatened officers with repeatedly, just told this court to treat you like any other defendant. Actually, he suggested harsher treatment because you should know better. Let's do exactly that. The sentence Judge Caprio delivered was comprehensive and severe. For driving under the influence causing serious bodily injury with cocaine in her system, $15,000 fine, 2-year license suspension, mandatory intensive substance abuse treatment, 60 days in county jail. For reckless driving at 50 in a 30 mph zone, additional $5,000 fine. For running a red light, additional $1,000 fine for leaving the scene, additional $3,000 fine for resisting arrest, additional $1,000 fine for threatening law enforcement officers with her father's position, additional $5,000 fine. For contempt of court, attempting to text her father during proceedings, additional $3,000 fine Total monetary penalties, $33,000. But Judge Caprio wasn't finished. He ordered full restitution to Robert Sullivan for his totaled vehicle, assessed at $8,500. He ordered payment of Robert's medical expenses not covered by insurance, currently $4,200. He ordered 400 hours of community service, specifically at veteran shelters and VA hospitals serving the veterans she had endangered. He ordered formal written apologies to Robert Sullivan, Officer Chen, Sergeant Walsh, every officer she threatened, and to her father for abusing his Senate position. And significantly, Judge Caprio ordered Madison to speak at 3 different high schools and colleges about drunk driving, telling students exactly what she did on New Year's Eve and exactly what it cost her. Total financial impact, $45,700, 60 days. In jail, starting immediately. 400 hours of service to veterans. 2 years without a license. A permanent criminal record, Attorney Dane objected strenuously. Your Honor, 60 days in jail for a first offense is excessive. My client is a college graduate with career prospects. Judge Caprio's response was devastating. Mr. Dane, your client drove drunk and high at 3 times the legal limit. She nearly killed a 68-year-old Vietnam veteran who was driving home from volunteering to serve homeless veterans on New Year's Eve. She laughed about it. She threatened officers 15 times with her father's Senate position. She called it just a New Year's accident. And she tried to text her father to make it all disappear during court proceedings. He paused. 60 days is not excessive, it's merciful. This sentence stands. As Madison was taken into custody, she stopped and looked at Robert Sullivan. I'm sorry, she said, her voice breaking. I'm so sorry, Mr. Sullivan, Robert responded quietly. Young lady, I hope you learn from this. I hope you learn that veterans aren't props for your father's political career. We're human beings who served and sacrificed. We deserve respect, not to be hit by drunk senators' daughters who think New Year's Eve makes them invincible. Officer Chen stood and addressed the court. Your Honor, I've been an officer for 8 years. I've never had someone threaten me with their parent's Senate position while a veteran was trapped in a crushed vehicle. What you did today matters to every officer who puts on this uniform. Thank you. Within hours, audio from the courtroom went viral. Senator Hartley held a press conference where he increased his support for Veterans Services legislation, formally apologized to the Providence Police Department, established a scholarship in Robert Sullivan's name. Personally replaced Robert's vehicle, Madison began serving her 60-day sentence. The first week, she was angry, defiant, convinced this was all unfair. By week 4, she was genuinely engaging in substance abuse counseling. At 6 weeks, she wrote genuine apologies. Not the kind drafted by attorneys, but real acknowledgments of harm. Upon release, she began her 400 hours at the VA hospital. She met veterans with missing limbs, veterans with PTSD so severe they couldn't sleep, veterans with traumatic brain injuries, veterans who had sacrificed everything and received so little in return. At 3 months into her community service, she spoke at a college. A student asked if she regretted driving drunk on New Year's Eve. I regret everything, Madison said, her voice steady. I regret laughing while Mr. Sullivan was trapped. I regret treating him like he didn't matter. I regret threatening officers who were just doing their jobs. New Year's Eve doesn't excuse any of it. Nothing excuses any of it. At 6 months, she encountered Robert Sullivan at the veteran shelter where she was volunteering. Mr. Sullivan. She approached carefully. I drove drunk and high on New Year's Eve. I crashed into your car. I seriously injured you. I laughed while you were trapped. I threatened officers. I called it just a New Year's accident. I was wrong. I'm deeply sorry. Robert studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Madison, I didn't serve so senators' daughters could nearly kill veterans while threatening police officers. I served so everyone could be equal under the law. Your father understood that. Judge Caprio understood that. Now you need to understand it too. 12 months after the crash, Madison Hartley had been sober for an entire year. She continued volunteering at the VA hospital beyond her mandated hours. She had found work as a veteran services advocate. Senator Hartley continued his Senate work with renewed focus on veterans' issues. When asked if he regretted his decision to publicly support accountability for his daughter, he answered simply, "I don't regret holding my daughter accountable. I regret that it took nearly killing a veteran for her to learn that her last name doesn't make her special. The veterans are special. They sacrificed. We owe them everything." Madison Hartley walked into court thinking New Year's Eve excused everything. She thought her father's Senate seat made her untouchable. She texted him expecting rescue. Instead, she heard him tell Judge Caprio to treat her harshly. She heard him apologize to the veteran she nearly killed. She heard him choose honor over protecting his entitled daughter. And that moment, that phone call, became the catalyst that changed her life. That's justice. That's integrity. That's the legacy of Judge Frank Caprio and Senator Richard Hartley. This is a dramatization for storytelling and educational purposes, not legal advice or factual reporting.